Should widows sell their house? Is renting the better option, or maybe moving to a new home? Unfortunately, there's not one answer to this, as it's different for every situation. And there are so many factors to consider, both emotionally and practically. In this video, we'll go over key points to keep in mind to hopefully make the best decision for your situation, as well as my personal experiences with making this decision. Hey guys, I'm Brandy Lydon, host and founder of Mom You're Not Alone. I'm also a local realtor and investor here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So let's dive in. So let me go back to my personal story. When my husband passed, I had to face the decision, okay, here's all these memories and, all these things. Do I sell the house? Do I stay in the house? For me, it was, I did not have any kind of trauma in the home, related to the death. So that was not in play. I wanted, some consistency for my kids. I had a good amount of equity in the home, and it was still an affordable payment. So for me, staying in the home was my choice. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty of all the factors that come into this decision. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your kids, okay? You've got stability was something that I talked about and had to consider in my decision. So, you have to consider that, around your kids. Number 2 is equity. So how much equity do you have in your home? Possibly you can't afford the payment anymore. So that would play into it as well on the equity portion. And then number 3 is going to be timing. With you and your family and your kids, is the timing good? Does this make sense? Or do you need to, they always say don't make any rash decisions in the first year. So is just staying put for a little while better for you? Or do you need out because the memories and everything is too much? Number 4 is going to be finances. So just like we were talking about, maybe you can or can't afford the payment in the home. Maybe it's just too much home for you to upkeep. So finances are going to be huge. So number 5 is going to be trauma in the home. If that answer is going to be yes for you, if there was trauma related to the death of the spouse, most likely you are going to want to sell relatively quickly. It's going to be hard to go into that home. So now let's go over some of the pros and cons of deciding to sell or keep your home. So advantages of keeping the home. Number 1 advantage, you keep the physical space with the memories. So for many widows, selling the home would mean getting rid of the space where they have so many happy memories together. It would be selling the home filled with birthdays, anniversaries, and other celebrations. Advantage number 2, you're familiar with it. So by keeping your home, you stay in a comfortable space. You may be more familiar with your home, the nuances, and what you can expect in repairs. With a new home, there's more uncertainty. So advantage number 3, you don't have to move. That's a huge one, right? So moving is a lot of work and a lot of stress. So another advantage of keeping the home is that you don't have to move. So you don't have to update your address. You don't have to add to your to-do list. There's often a mountain of paperwork to complete after somebody passes. So moving could just make this more difficult. Let's go over some of the disadvantages of keeping the home. While there's some advantages to keeping the home, there are definitely some disadvantages that you should consider too. So disadvantage number 1 might be your home requires a lot of upkeep. If it's a larger home, it may be better to downsize to a smaller home. If you like the idea of being maintenance free and taken care of, potentially, in a better location or a more walkable part of the area that you live, if you sell, you may be able to reduce the amount you spend on your home each year. So that would be huge on the finance portion we talked about. This reducing the finances could just reduce the stress. It could allow you to travel some, do some other things that you wanted to do. Disadvantage number 2, it may not be a good place to age. When you think about this, it would be like, okay, depending on your age, the era that you're in, right? When your spouse passed, you might be older and you have this 2-story home that's huge that now you have to keep up with yourself. If you don't have kids in the house and you're really just wanting to downsize, so you don't have to deal with yard work and cleaning in a huge house, it may not be the best place for this next season of life. That could mean a separate space for a caregiver, independent living community, or opportunities to be more social. Many widows say they feel lonely and isolated after losing their spouse. This is so true in so many ways. So whether you have kids in the home, whether you have, kids are all out of the home, there's always that sense of just loneliness. You've had that partner in life to do all the things with, and now they're not there. So it could be as simple as, sitting on the couch to watch TV. I remember in my early days, I couldn't even walk into the living room. It was like, not gonna do it, not watching TV, not happening for me. So lonely and isolated, you want to get yourself in a place where you are not feeling that. So is your home in an area where you can stay connected to others? That's something else that you want to consider. Disadvantage number 3, okay, let's talk about capital gains a little bit. And I'll say one thing, I'm not a CPA, not an attorney, so always consult with your professionals when it comes to this. But if you purchase the home, you and your spouse purchased the home, let's say less than 2 years ago, you may have to pay capital gains. So that's going to come into play, and you want to talk to a financial advisor for this. So couples who are married and filing their taxes jointly can sell their main residence and exclude up to $500,000 of the gain of the sale from their gross income. Single individuals can only exclude $250,000. So surviving spouses get the full $500,000 if they sell their house within 2 years of the date of the spouse's death. So that's something to consider. So basically, when we talk about, let's say that you have a spouse that passed in 2023. And as long as you sell by 2025, you're gonna, meet those requirements in regards to capital gains. That's a disadvantage if that's not your case, right? So if it's less than that, you may want to reconsider, and that will be a disadvantage for you. If it's more than 2 years, that might slide over to the advantage side, and that would be good for you. So guys, if you want to learn more about building wealth as a single mom, check out my recent interview with Melissa Maharis, a wealth advisor here in Tennessee. And if you got value from this episode, make sure to like and subscribe today.